Executive Director of Rise Above, Neil Fernandez. Hi, Neil.
Hey, doing, Bart. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Thank you. I will say right off the hop, you guys are killing me with the whole talk about food from Veritas.
Well, good news.
My wife and I started a diet in the new year here to get ready for the spring, and yeah, I'm hungry.
Well, good news. After we finish, you're welcome to choose something, and a lot of great food.
Yeah, thanks.
The Rise Above, I was curious how long it's been in existence.
Yeah, we're at the start of our 10th year.
10 years
Yeah.
for Rise Above.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
been quite a journey from start to finish, that's for sure.
Yeah, I remember when you started, I thought, wow, sounds like a big challenge, in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Convincing school districts that you were going to be able to step in and help their students out where they couldn't. Also, having to raise continuously money to fund what you do because your families, you're not charged.
No, it's a free service to the community, yeah, for sure.
So based on those two things, I thought, man, that's going to be, you've got a lot of challenges, but here you are 10 years later.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about the challenges. I mean, one of the things that we heard early on is that this was an impossible task, that others had tried things similar or to this sort of thing before with this at-risk population. But because we were approaching it with a completely different mentality, and because we had a very generous donor to kind of kickstart us, it gave us the time and space we needed to show. I'm very much I shouldn't say my wife and I, who's the co-founder with me, Veronica, and I are very much goal-oriented people, and we generally do what we say we're going to do, to the best of our ability anyways. And so we figured initially the community had been, jaded a little bit from past experience, as people do. And so we just said to the community, you know what? Our donor is taking care of this first year. Just give us a try. Give us a year and a couple of students, and let's see what we can do. And Bart, here we are 10 years later, and I can tell you there are certain districts that absolutely rely on us every day for the service that we provide. And I thank God continually for the ability and the desire that He put in our heart to push this forward and to make sure that it's a viable product for the community and for students to have success.
Well, you've turned lives around for countless students.
And families, not just the students. It really, Bart, it changes whole families. I can't tell you how many mothers have come to like a parent-teacher conference with us, had a student successfully return back to school and just literally weeping at our boardroom table, thanking us, saying that we've changed their house. We've brought peace to their house. I often tell students in the initial interview that we do with students that, you think you're doing this for you, but you're honest, you're doing it for the lady across the table from you, your mother. Moms wait 18 years for one photograph of their student walking across the stage with a diploma in their hand. And in one moment, a student can take that away from a parent or parents, and it often doesn't set in that it's all about me, and immaturity can do that sometimes. And one of the things that happens at Rise Above, right from the interview on, is a lot of growth and maturity, and it starts with understanding the impact that your actions have not only on yourself and your future, but your family as well. So it really is a family event, Rise Above, not just a student.
Yeah, imagine how life-changing it is to be literally kicked out of school permanently, which is what happens to some of your students.
Yeah, the vast majority of our students, at least the first 8 years, the vast majority of our students were students who had been permanently removed for violent offenses, weapons stuff, assault, drug use, sales, that sort of stuff. Although I will say more and more because of the pandemic, we're seeing a lot more students that are just really falling behind academically. And so schools have asked us to support that as well and to step in to a great extent for some districts. And it's been an honor to do so and to continue to support our community in that way, because you got to graduate. It's just it's a fact of life right now. It's not 1974 where you can just drop out of high school and go work for Ford. So
yeah, and it's a blessing in the community because not every community has something like this. In fact, no other community has this.
No other community. It's a unique process that we've put in place. A unique program, not a unique process. The process itself has been around forever. We found out. We thought we invented it, but nothing new under the sun, so to speak. And we just didn't know what to call it at the time. We just thought we were going to love on some kids and give them some hope and courage. But what we found out was this is something that's called trust-based relational intervention, where using trust and obedience, we get maturity out of students that produces great response. And other communities have it, but it is extremely rare. So for Jackson County to have it makes it a very unique thing for our community, a tremendous blessing for our community, and really is something that I believe our community is continually learning to cherish and to want to have stick around. So.
Well, I've had the opportunity to hear some of your success stories, some of the students speaking about how Rise Above changed their lives. Mm-hmm. And at those occasions, there's not a dry eye in the house. People, it's just a very emotional experience to hear these stories, because it's
very personal.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of our families. I was one of these students back in the day. And I don't know how I got through high school. I'll be honest with you. I'm a very astute student now, but in my teen years, the military literally saved my life. I think saved me from going down a path of just God knows what. But I think a lot of our students, we put them in front of the camera or microphone as much as possible, because nobody can tell their story better than they can. And I think that's why people get emotional when they hear it, because it's true. It's not fictional. These kids are storytellers, but when life change has happened, it's obvious that these students are being genuine, and the fruit is borne out in their day-to-day activities and what they produce for us at Rise Above. We often have visitors at Rise Above, and when they tour the building, one of the first questions they ask is, "Oh, I was hoping to come here when there were some students in the building." And we're like, "The building is full. What are you talking about?" Because our building is so quiet. But the perception is these are bad kids. Mm-hmm. And so it's supposed to be chaos. It's supposed to be, running amok and things flying everywhere, and tables, people crying, but really it's peaceful. Because it's safe. They know who's in charge. They don't have to worry about, am I in charge today? Is Susie in charge today? There's no jockeying for position, which a lot of our students are there because they jockeyed for position and lost. Because of that, and having a mature, very attentive adult community around them, i.e. the staff at Rise Above, they just don't. It is rare that a student acts out. And if they do, it's isolated so quickly, and the student is given an immediate opportunity to process and to work through the outcome and the resolution to that, whatever they're going through, that it generally doesn't result in a catastrophe as it would in a normal public school setting.
Well, they know they're on their last chance, aren't they?
Well, they do, but it's weird because Rise Above, you don't feel like you're on your last chance when you walk in the front door, because it's such a grace-filled environment in that students are allowed to make mistakes. You can have a bad day. Bart, you and I have bad days, right? The problem is we've matured enough that we don't blow up our household when we have a bad day. Well, sometimes we do, but it generally doesn't result in us ending, our jobs or our marriages and things like that. We're mature enough. So when you're dealing with these teenagers who generally don't have a strong enough support system that is mature enough to teach them how to resolve conflict and how to have happy relationships, until we get them to a point where they can feel comfortable and safe and to talk about why they're upset, and generally it's nothing that's in their control. It's not like I'm upset because I spent all my money on my car payments and I have no money for food. That's not the issue. Generally it's because they watched mom go through some destructive behaviors last night before bed, or at 6 o'clock this morning they witnessed a father abuse another child, or something. That they're upset because of their surroundings, not necessarily an action that they have taken. And so we have to help them to process those things. And that's why Rise Above is so important. We do a lot of academics, but Bart, it has nothing to do with academics. So.
I had a chance to tour Rise Above a few years ago at a point when you were expanding, and it looks like you pretty much used every square inch of
We're doing our best.
But that's, I guess, it's a sign of your success in that you've expanded, and I guess you still want to expand even more.
Yeah, so Rise Above has actually expanded 4 times. So initially we expanded in that we started with 1 classroom, then went to 2, then we went to 3, And then it was, hey, wait a second, we got now too many students for our lunchroom. We can't fit these kids in this lunchroom that we have. So then we did this family room expansion. Thank you, John George, for that grant to enable that to happen. And so now we added on an 1,100 square foot expansion in the back that added a full family room and a lunch area. And we call it a family room intentionally because we try to create a family environment there where the students feel like they are a part of, not just present. And that allowed us to really add an additional classroom space that allowed us to almost double our population. Our limitation now is van. We only have a 15-passenger van, so we have to kind of split things up a little bit and do activities creatively, but we're looking at ways of getting around that, and whether it be a new vehicle or additional vehicle. But yeah, the next thing that we're looking at now is what we're calling our comfort and security upgrades. So some of our facility does not have air conditioning, for example. Only the upper floor of our amazing county building, because the county blesses us with this building annually. The main floor does not have air conditioning, particularly the new family room doesn't have air conditioning. So we want to add it to that space and add it as well to one of the classrooms that we have. And then a security upgrade, we also want to put, right now everything's manual keys around the building. So we want to put a time lock key fob type system throughout the building to better control access to the building and to ensure maximum security for our students and for our staff.
Well, you mentioned it's not just academics, what you guys are doing there. How involved are the students in just the operations, maintaining the campus, and what's their skin in the game?
Yeah, so I won't speak for anyone else's household, but in my house, my kids help with laundry. They do the dishes, they clean their rooms, they do those sorts of things. And so for Rise Above, we ask the same. Students at the end of each day will wipe their desks down, they will clean trash, they'll clean the lunch space up after they're done. And particularly at the end of the week, they really make sure they give it a good once over. We don't like mice any more than anybody else does, So we try to do our best, and it instills good habits in the students as well, to understand not only the habit of keeping a clean space, but the respect for the things that you have. You want to take care of. And we find very often students don't have value for the things that they have. A lot of stuff is given without expectation. And so we do similar in that we give without expectation, but all we ask is that they respect what's been given to them in honor of those who have given to them. And that couples with part of your question is, what do the students do to give back as part of being involved at Rise Above? Because it's free for them to come. So Rise Above being a nonprofit, we get a lot from the community. So Rise Above itself tries to give back to the community as much as possible. I serve on several boards in our community, including the Interfaith Shelter, which is doing phenomenal right now. I'm such a blessing to be a part of that program. But very often our students will go and they'll volunteer back into the community, whether it be at Vista Grand Villa with the seniors, in our garden project there, whether it be one of the resale depot-like organizations and stuff like that, where we'll go and help sort clothing for them and those sorts of things. So we're trying to instill value in students, not only in the things that they have, but also their time, so that they understand that it's one thing to get, it's another thing to give in return. So it really is fun. Our staff, for the most part, really enjoy those events, and sometimes it's like herding wet cats, but it really does usually bless. One of the things that we got to do this year, as we have for, I think this is our third year now, is blessing Wendy White in her Prices toy store that she does every year. We help her go and sort toys and put shelving up and all that kind of stuff, and she's always such a blessing. She's awesome to work with. She's so fun.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
So are you growing your own food at Rise Above?
So we've been trying this garden thing for a few years, and every year it gets slightly better and slightly better. And Jacob and I were here last year, like that wasn't just a week ago, talking about our garden project. And one of the things that we were able to complete this year was installing the first of 2 greenhouses that'll be on our property. So you'll see us be a lot more involved with growing vegetables. I'm hoping that we'll do a vegetable garden, and I'd love to do like a flower garden or something that we can go and produce flowers. And I'd love to take those flowers then to one of the senior homes and to bless some of the seniors with some beautiful flowers on a regular basis. So
nice.
Yeah.
You've got, with the growth, some new staff that's joined Rise Above.
Yeah, Miss Danielle Lowe joined us as a new teacher this year. She has been a much needed addition to our program. Like I said, Rise Above has grown tremendously over the years, and we continue to have different types of student activities and stuff that have, basically required us to have additional staff. So she was brought in to give us a hand, and she's catching on quick. She's been with us now, I think, going on her second month. So yeah, she's fitting in just perfect.
Well, you mentioned your building. Through the generosity of the county, you've been able to have this building on Fleming, which is, it's a coincidence that you're next to the juvenile home.
We are, yeah.
But is there irony in that?
There is a little bit. I think the irony more, though, is not what you think. The irony is in the people that have matured, gone on through life, and are now seniors or well into their life, like you and I are, who may have interacted with that youth home before, or interacted with our building, because our building was the old family court building before it went downtown. And so we have many people who have come through our building as youngsters and who are now mature and have made success in their lives, and are coming back around and going, oh my God, I know this building. I remember, oh, I know what this room is. And they have this weird interaction where they're like, it was this place of almost decay and discipline, and now you've turned it into this place of, growth and maturity and joy. And it's just like, it's a real unique experience for people when they come through, knowing what it was and what it represented to what it is now. And I think one of the neatest things I had recently is that we received a blessing from Meyer in town on Airport Road. They chose Rise Above to receive one of their larger $5,000 grants just before Christmas. And as I watched their staff hear the story of Rise Above from me as we were doing the check signing and all that kind of jazz, just to see them go, oh my gosh, that's so unique and cool. And I think because so few people typically run into a student being expelled permanently, whereas homelessness you hear about and see, you can see it. You can, whereas with our students, unless you have a student in that situation, you really don't understand it. So until you hear the story on a show like this or from me directly, it's hard to understand, it's hard to comprehend. So I think that's one of the neat things about our building is it helps to tell the story.
Yeah, you really can't tell someone's your student just from looking at them.
Yeah, you really
they're
can't.
from all walks of life, from all
really
income levels.
Could be your student, could be my student. You would not know.
Well, we appreciate the update on everything happening.
Yeah.
Congratulations on 10 years.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bart. It's been a blessing.
Hope it's a great year for you, your family, and Rise Above.
Thank you.
The co-founder and executive director of Rise Above, Neil Fernandez.